Now that's how you do a fight card, UFC. From now on, that's how you do a fight card. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Noche UFC, UFC 306 has come and finally gone. As you can tell, I am extremely excited. I'm extremely excited. So welcome to the episode. Let's have a conversation. I'm just going to talk about UFC 306, Noche UFC. That's all I'm going to talk about today. That's all I'm talking about on this episode. We're going to have a conversation about this for a little while because this was a damn good card, right? This is probably the second most exciting card in the entire year of 2024. I think it might only be second to UFC 300. And there's a lot of arguments to be made that Noche UFC, in terms of production and fight delivery, it might have been better than UFC 300. If you guys have followed this channel for a little bit, you notice I have been complaining a little bit in the past, some couple of past videos. I've been complaining that, the entire 2024, we've not exactly had like a fantastic fight year so far. Because all the cards we've been having, the fight cards have been a bit, they've been a bit bland. And UFC 300 just happens to be the only one that, seems to me might be memorable for the entire 2024, but boy was I wrong. Noche UFC 306, O'Malley versus Dvalishvili has come to be it turned out to be a very, very, very spectacular fight card. I mean, the venue was such a beautiful venue held at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Dana White has been making a lot of promotion about this fight card, saying it's going to be a one-of-one spectacle. And it truly was. It really, really was. From the production, the venue in there, they have these little panels in and out of the venue. I've never really seen a venue like the Sphere. It's really a one-of-one kind of venue. And then it even had display panels surrounding the entire building on the outside. When I say I can't even imagine, I was watching it on TV, I can't even imagine how fantastic it must have been to have witnessed such a spectacle, on the inside, right? I'm really jealous. I actually didn't go there, but god damn it, those tickets were very expensive. They were really expensive. And because the tickets were so expensive, I'm thinking, yeah, that venue shouldn't really be full, but god damn it, it was completely sold out. I haven't seen the post-fight press conference because I just had to hop on this video and make this video real quick. I'll probably see the post-fight press conference to see how sold out and what the gate was for Noche UFC. I'll get that information later. But I wouldn't be surprised if it broke some kind of record. It might be, I think the venue sits 18,000 people, I think. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check my stats. But I think it's about 18,000 capacity. And it looked pretty sold out. Like, that place looked like there was a complete cluster of human beings, right? What else can I say about that? The films, the UFC's production team, they deserve a round of applause for the films and how they put the films together, the narration of the films, not films actually, they're more like short films, right? That were playing in between fights, especially on the main card. And these videos and these short films, you know, they demonstrated the history of Mexico, the spirit, the fighting spirit of the Mexican people, you know, the origin of Mexico and things of that nature. Just it was, as Dana said, Uncle Dana said, this was going to be a love letter to the Mexican people, and it was. It did not fail to. It didn't fail to do that. Those films were very good, and they reflected the fighting spirit of Mexico and the Mexican fighters. Right now, I don't know if those movies or those films were Oscar or Emmy worthy. I don't know. I have seen better. I've seen way better short film productions that are truly Oscar and Emmy worthy. I don't know if the UFC's Noche UFC short films would qualify. In my personal opinion, if I was a judge on the board of either of these establishments, I probably would not even nominate either of any of the films out there. But that doesn't mean the films weren't good. They were actually very good, just not Oscar worthy. I know Dana talked about, you know, he wants to win an Oscar or an Emmy for these short films. Come on, Dana. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Plus, the people who run the Oscars are people who don't necessarily align with you politically and socially. So I don't know if they're going to be able to overlook that to nominate these short films for either an Oscar or an Emmy. Now, ESPN, on the other hand, might give you guys an award for this production, and it will be well deserved. There's no doubt in my mind that, you know, that will happen. Now, at the event, let's talk about the star power. Man, that event was packed full of stars, like lots of stars and athletes. From John Jones and his brothers to Alex Pereira to Michael Chandler was there. Michael Chandler was there. Anyway, so to Michael Chandler, Nurmagomedov was also there. Who else? That's Alex Pereira. Andrew Schultz, I believe the comedian Andrew Schultz was there. Chris Brown was there, and you know, it pulled a great amount of people. It really did. Massive star power. Listen, guys, this fight card was so good. You know, a fight card is spectacular when the most boring fights on the fight card, the entire fight card from the prelims to the main event, the most boring fights were, in my personal opinion, the co-main event and the main event. Yes, that is how crazy and that is how good this card was. In my personal opinion, the co-main event, championship fight, flyweight between trilogy fight between Valentina Shevchenko and Alexa Grasso, and the main event, bantamweight title fight between Merab and Sugar Sean O'Malley. Those two fights turned out to be the most boring fights on the entire card, and trust me, those fights were very technical. We might get into it a little bit, you know. But yeah, there was a star power in this place. Star power at the venue. It seemed really good, but let me get to my I think my favorite fights, and you guys feel free to go back and watch it, but my favorite fights of the night turned out to be on the prelims, guys. Van versus Chires. It was on the prelims, guys, and I watched every single fight. That was an exciting war. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was a healthy back and forth. It was blood, guts, and sweat. When I say everybody on this fight card deserved 306,000 fight bonus, give it to him. Give it to him. My next favorite fight, and I believe this should be fight of the night, Daniel Zellhuber versus what's his name? Esteban Ribovic. That's another fight. Oh, that was a banger. That was such a barn burner, guys. It was so good. It was a striker's delight. Only one takedown in that entire fight that lasted 15 minutes. And these boys went at it. They really went in. These guys fought like their lives depended on it. It was so much fun to watch. Now, and it was not easy picking these two fights, if I'm being very honest. On the entire roster of fights tonight, it was not easy for me to pick these two fights as my favorite fights, because it was a flurry of exciting fight. Like, that is how a fight card's supposed to be. When you spend 85 plus taxes, you want to go in there knowing that besides the production, the fights count. Like, to hell with the production. The production is just the cherry on top, if I'm being honest. All those movies, I don't really care about the movies, right? I care about the stories. I care about the stories behind the fight, and I care about the performances during the fight. The production comes later. All that, walkout songs later. The camera, CC cap, closed caption later. That I don't care. What's the energy like in that place? And the energy at UFC Noche 306, boom, fireworks. It was fireworks, people. It was fireworks from start to finish. Start to finish. Listen, I really appreciated this fight, guys. The fight card, I really did. I'm gushing. I'm just talking and talking. I don't even want to do fight analysis. I just really want to talk about it. Just the idea that these fighters, they all showed heart. All of them showed heart, man. They showed like fighting spirit. They showed the mentality of fighters. How fighters were able to go in and dig deep. They showed most of these fights were a war of attrition. It wasn't necessarily always skills. Most of the fights were about a war of attrition. It's about who wanted the win the most. And when you put all that together, add that formula to deliver, of course it will be fantastic. It was great. Guys, it was great. It was so nice. Listen, cheers. Cheers to Uncle Dana for putting this together and conceptualizing the idea to take, to host a UFC event at his fair. After he went to a YouTube concert with Tom Brady. Dana went there, saw the venue with Tom Brady, and conceptualized Noche UFC on the spot and went out to execute it. Hats off to Uncle Dana. Hats off to the matchmakers, right? A lot of these fighters I really didn't even know. I didn't know. A couple of popular names, like the prelim started with Raul Rosa Jr., which, looks like a little bit of the steam is going down. The fact that they have Raul Rosa Jr., after all the hype and everything, they have him starting the prelims. I'm just saying. The momentum might be, you know how it is. You go into the UFC, if the UFC hypes you up and you don't deliver, you go back down the bottom of the barrel. But hey, listen, that's not my place to say. However, listen, again, these fights were spectacular. I didn't know much of the fighters, but I knew their names today. These names stood out. These names really stood out. Lots of blood, lots of guts. Did anybody see the gash on Irene Aldana's face? My goodness. Even though it was caused by a headbutt or clash of heads, receiving more punches on that cut the next round literally tore that thing up from literally it was 4 inches up her head. It was ghastly. Probably the worst injury of the night. But that baby girl, Aldana, she just kept going. When I say they displayed the fighting spirit of Mexicans, bruh, that was on display today. But let me quickly talk about some fights on the main card. Ortega versus Diego Lopez. So, right before our eyes, Diego Lopez is now a contender at featherweight. The moment Ilia Topuria and Max Holloway fight, and there's a clear, decisive winner in that fight, the next person to get a shot will be Diego Lopez. He was lower in the rankings, but just beat Brian Ortega. Most likely now Diego Lopez has gone up to number 3 on the rankings. Ridiculous, right? But that's the nature of the sport. He did good. He went in there and decided to exact vengeance and frustration on Brian Ortega. If you remember, Brian Ortega and Diego Lopez were supposed to fight. They were supposed to fight earlier in the year, but Brian had some, health issues, weight cutting issues, couldn't make the fight, and then Diego Lopez had to fight Dan Ige, the stud. Dan Ige on, 48 hours notice, I believe it was. Some crazy amount of notice. Some really crazy short notice. And they put on an absolute war. So I think Diego Lopez still carried on a little bit of that frustration into this fight because he really manhandled Brian Ortega. And man, I don't think there's any fighter in the UFC who can take a beating like Brian Ortega and still keep coming forward. None. He's done that in his fight with Yair Rodriguez. He did that in his fight with Alexander Volkanovski. He did that in his fight with Max Holloway. Brian is like a human punching bag, but like a zombie punching bag because he just keeps coming at you. And Diego had him rocked very early in the fight. However, I think if Diego Lopez hadn't gone for a submission or tried to submit Brian Ortega when he had him rocked in the first round, that fight could have been ended literally in less than 5 minutes. Because Diego rocked him from the start. Honestly. And then when he tried to submit Brian Ortega, he couldn't really get the submission in. Brian had time to recover and then just came back hard in the next rounds until the end of the match. Hats off to Brian Ortega. He has heart, but Diego Lopez made light work of him. And I guess this might be the end of Brian Ortega in the featherweight division. His featherweight career is over. The weight loss and the weight cuts is getting harder and harder for him. So he's moving up. He's going to move up to lightweight. It'd be interesting to see what Brian Ortega can do at lightweight with regards his chin and his performance, right? If he puts on 10 more pounds, it will be very interesting. I don't really see him doing much. You're going to the deepest division. The deadliest division right now is the lightweight division. If you were not able to dominate 45ers, I don't know how much damage you can do at lightweight. That division, the lightweight division, is packed with killers, executioners, ninjas, snipers, maulers are all there in the lightweight division. Be careful what you wish for, Brian Ortega. Don't say TDC didn't say anything about it. Let me transition to Valentina Shevchenko's fight with Alexa Grasso. So my thoughts are this. Valentina Shevchenko deserved this win. She went in there. I gave Valentina 5-0. Valentina went in there. She was very disciplined and she stuck to her game plan. And I believe the game plan was to wrestle Alexa Grasso and not really give her the space. Don't give Alexa Grasso the space to make some of the moves or some of the striking or some of the advantageous things she did in the last fight. Valentina was also very disciplined in the sense that she didn't do any fancy moves. There was nothing fancy about, Valentina likes to do those little spinning back kicks and things like that. No spinning elbow, no, there was no spinning whatsoever. She kept it very disciplined. She put the pressure, she stood her ground, great stance, and took Alexa Grasso down multiple times across the round and had very good ground control while she was there. Not much damage, but there were a little bit of some hematomas and welts around Alexa Grasso's face, but Valentina didn't really damage or do much damage every time she had Alexa Grasso on the floor. However, she controlled Alexa for most of it. However, Alexa did have some very, very close calls, bro. Alexa almost choked Valentina out like twice with a guillotine attempt, and I think she tried a triangle too, but the guillotine was really tight. I had my heart pounding because, as you guys know, Valentina Shevchenko is my favorite female fighter, right? I think, like I said in the previous video, I would love Valentina Shevchenko to go in there in the fight with Alexa Grasso for the third time, win the belt, defend it maybe 2 more times, and then retire. She's 36. There's only so much you can do, and don't tarnish the legacy. Now she's a 2-time flyweight champion, and I think it's well deserved. I don't know who's next for her. I don't know who's next for her, because based on the performance tonight, she completely outstruck and outgrappled and outwrestled Alexa Grasso. This was the Valentina Shevchenko we all knew that she was. She just needed to be more disciplined this time around than the last time or the last 2 times. And yes, she made it very clear and very dominant. She made sure that her win was dominant so that nobody questions whether or not she is the undisputed flyweight champion of the world. Congratulations, Bullet, and it was a nice little touch, during a post-fight interview, Valentina spoke in her language. She spoke in Spanish. She addressed the Spanish people and Mexican people in Spanish and also in English. You know, she's multilingual. That baby is an assassin, as Joe Rogan says. Because only an assassin learns that many languages, because you can never tell which country you want to go in to kill someone, you know? Ah, man. All right, quick talk about Merab. Merab versus O'Malley. So, show of hands, how many people thought Merab was going to do something different to Sugar Sean? I know. None of us thought it would be different. We thought the fight would go exactly how it went. Merab went in there. We already know he has the cardio, and we already know his wrestling is superior. Now, Merab added something in the mix this time around. He didn't stay stationary, and he didn't do as much takedowns. Merab obviously didn't overextend. He studied the footage between O'Malley and O'Malley's previous opponents, including Aljamain Sterling, and I'm sure Merab saw in those tapes that if you overextend yourself, Sugar Sean is such a fantastic counter sniper that he'll make you pay for any errors you make in trying to lunge at him. And Merab did not do that. His timing for all the takedowns were very impeccable, and the moment he got Sugar Sean to the floor, bro, it was control all the way. And by the third round, Merab had completely worn out Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, I don't believe Sean was fit enough to really go after Merab in the 4th and 5th round, because he looked gassed, guys. Go and watch the fight again. By the 3rd round, Sean was breathing heavily through his mouth. It was because of all the wrestling takedowns and all the wrestling defense he had to do in the first 3 rounds. And Merab knew. And the fact that Merab didn't stay stationary, he didn't really make the fight pretty, but he didn't stay stationary on the outside. Merab just kept moving about, kept feinting, kept being lateral, circling around, coming back, trying to take the takedown, feinting with the takedown, giving Sean so many things to think about. And actually, I think Sean was a bit gun shy in his leg kicks because probably he was afraid that Merab would grab his leg every time he tried to kick. However, by the time they got to the 5th round, Sean O'Malley finally figured out something, a crack in Merab's armor. And you know what that was? It was a front kick to the body. But he discovered that weakness maybe 2 minutes to the end of the fight. And with Merab still moving around and not staying stationary, Sean really couldn't pin down the target to deliver the killing blow. And unfortunately, it cost him the belt. I wasn't surprised, if I'm being honest. I was not surprised. My preference was Sean O'Malley, but I'm still not surprised with the outcome of this. The outcome of the fight. It happened just the way we all thought. We all thought it would happen. And it was a dominant win too. It was 5-0. All 5 rounds I give to Merab. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even really close, if I'm being honest. If some people may score it close, that's great, no problem. I don't think it was close. I think Sean had gassed out by the 3rd round and needed that little extra motivation and push in the 4th and 5th. And I think Sean's coach, what's his name? Tim Welch. I don't think Tim Welch was giving Sean O'Malley an accurate sense of urgency by the 4th round. Because He had to have known by the 4th round that Sean had lost the first 3 rounds in that fight. So why didn't he go there saying, listen, you gotta let loose. You have to go like a machine gun. Stop this single shot or semi-automatic approach to your punches. You have to go into the championship rounds all guns blazing, because listen, you strike or you don't strike. Merab is going to attempt to take you down. It doesn't matter. We all know that that is exactly what Merab will do. So if you are Sean O'Malley, every time you have a chance to be on the feet, bro, you lock and load. You aim and you shoot. In fact, you don't aim and shoot. You just spray the whole goddamn place. Throw hands, throw knees, throw legs, in the middle, up top, bottom, go out there. You might as well, because if you don't do it, the results will remain the same. So why not give yourself a bigger chance of success, or maybe knocking Merab out? It's literally 2 minutes to the end of the entire fight. 2 minutes is when Sean was able to crack the code on Merab with that front kick to the body, and Merab felt it. Merab even ate her knee to the head from Sean O'Malley. No way. Kept going. Right? Now, Merab is the champion. We're happy. Aljo is in featherweight. Great for him there. Merab is the dominant king now in the bantamweight division. Quick question. And Merab was asked this question by Joe Rogan in the post-fight interview in the Octagon. He says, who do you want next? Most likely it's going to be, Umar Nurmagomedov, who was also in the crowd. Merab just started, he replied with a bunch of word salads. He just kept saying, Dana White, I do anything Dana White want. Anything, I do anything for Dana White. Whatever they tell me, I do. And the reason is this: Merab did not want to acknowledge Umar Nurmagomedov as the next official title contender. And I think that's unfair and very unsportsmanlike. Because if you notice, over the last couple of weeks, Merab has been pointing out that Umar Nurmagomedov doesn't deserve a title shot, because he believes Umar got an easy fight or an easy path to #1 contendership when he ran through Corey Sandhagen. But for the life of me, it's not like people were willing to fight Umar. A lot of people were not willing to fight Umar. And if Corey Sandhagen was willing to risk his number and position on the rankings to fight Umar, and Umar fights him and wins, then what are we saying? Umar is next. And that would be very, very interesting to see, because stylistically, Umar is a very interesting matchup for Merab. It might be a crutch fest of a match. But Umar, listen, both guys are on some heavy win streaks. Both guys' styles are almost the same. It's wrestling heavy, grappling heavy. Both of them are from, the eastern part of the world, Russia. And right now, like I said, they're on very healthy winning streaks, and well-deserved. Well-deserved. So Merab needs to just get his act together. If he needs to start thinking about title defenses, I understand that he just won the belt and it's too early. But if he needs to start talking about title defenses, that's the fight to make first, before anything. What's next for Sugar? Who should Sugar fight? Because Sugar doesn't deserve a rematch. Let's be real, he doesn't, right? It wasn't his best day at the office. And he wasn't knocked out, but it wasn't his best day at the office. I think he needs to go back and focus very, very, very heavily on his wrestling defenses and his wrestling skills. Really needs that. But I wonder who's next for him. What's next? Big money fight, another title run. What's the deal? What's the deal? Is the hype over? Or is this just a detour? And then Sugar is going to get back on track very soon. I don't know, and that is one of the beauties of this sport, is the fact that we will get to see. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my opinion on Noche UFC 306. If you've been here this long, I thank you. Look out, set your notifications, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, set your notifications for every time I post a video. I try to do my quick clips within the week. Try to do it every day if I can, because life is going on. But I try to commit to you guys, okay? Try to do it. Yeah, TDC out. I'm a very happy man today. I'm very pleased. I'm going to sleep very well. Going to rest very well. And I'm going to analyze this entire event. And it'll be, again, I'm going to keep my ears on the post-fight press conference to just see what everybody has to say and see what's next. Okay? All right, guys. Take it easy. TDC out. Peace.